Hello guys, welcome to my channel and thanks for watching this video. This is the 9th video of the CSS Simply from A to Z tutorial, and in this video we want to talk about styling an image and how we can set very nice and beautiful styles for our images with the use of CSS. In the last video we have talked about position in CSS, so if you don't know how it is, you can go back and watch the video. The styling images topic is also very interesting, and with the use of that you can set very nice styles for your images, for your image gallery, and you can enjoy it. So let's start it. Here is our HTML document. We want to work with images, so we need images also, and I add an image to our document. And as I say always, I would really appreciate it if you like the videos or subscribe my channel. Thanks a lot. So first we add an image with the use of image tag, because I want to set more images in the document, so I set ID for each and every image. The first one will be A, for example, and after that src images. For example, image 1. Images is our folder here, and image 1 is in this folder. We go to the CSS. The only thing that I have done is changing the background of the body. So we call the image, we set a width for our image, for example 300 pixel, and we set a height for that also. It will be also 300 pixels. So I save everything and we go to the browser, we refresh the browser, and we check what will be happen. You see that we have our picture, our image here at the top left of the browser. So suppose that we want to set the image in the middle of the browser. So we have some CSS attributes. Of course you can do it with the use of positions, and we have learned it how it is, but in this video I will do it in another way. For setting an image in the middle of the browser without using position, you have to use the display. About display we have talked, and we select block, because images does not belong to the tags that are block. It means that you can add something in the left or in the right side of the image, but in this case we want to have only our image in the middle of the browser, and we don't want to add anything in its right or in its left side. So display will be block, margin left will be auto, and margin right also auto. So with the use of these three attributes you can set an image in the middle of the browser. So I save everything here, we go to the browser, I refresh the browser, you see that the image will be in the middle of the browser, and we have not used any position attribute for that. Good. Now suppose that we want to have a circle image here. It will be also interesting. With the use of border radius, we can use border radius for each and every tag, and because we have learned it, so we use it also here, but this time the border radius must be 50%. So I save it, we go back, we refresh the page, and you see that our image is now a circle. So if you want to have a circle image, you have to set the border radius, and the value of that must be 50%. So this is the first thing that the first effect of CSS that you can apply for your image. The second one is, suppose that we want to create a small thumbnails in our website. So I add another image. This image will have the ID B, for example, and src will be again images, and this time image 2. And we go back to the CSS here. We call the image. So a thumbnail image is a small image. So we have to set a small width for that. Width will be, for example, 150 pixel. And a thumbnail has also a border. So we set a border 1 pixel, solid, and light gray, for example, as a border color, and border radius will be, for example, 4 pixel. And so we don't want that the image will be exactly on the left side of the browser, so we set a margin left also for that. Margin left, for example, 400 pixels. I save the settings, we go back to the browser, I refresh, and you see that now we have a small thumbnail here, but our thumbnail needs a frame also. And for that, we can, if you want to set a frame for an image, you can use the padding property. So padding will be, for example, 5 pixel. We want that our frame be only 5 pixel. I save it, we go back, and here you see that now our thumbnail has a frame as much as 5 pixel. And if you want, you can 7 pixel. Right now we don't want to design, and it is up to you, but we just want to learn. So now we have a very nice and a small thumbnail here. Now suppose that someone sees this thumbnail, but he wants to see the original size of this picture also, of this image also. It will be also interesting. So we create a link about the links we have talked in the last videos, and in this case the href of the link must be the href of the image. It will be images and image 2, because we want that the person see the original size of this image. So, and this image is in this folder, so the href of the link must be the path of the image. So normally for a normal link, we type something here. For example, we type google.com or yahoo.com, and this text will be showed in blue color in our web page, and if someone click on it, will be redirected to Google or to the link that we have specified here under href. But this time we don't want to have any text, but we want an image, so we add an image here also. Image, again ID, if you want to do to set another settings for that, and src, we select our images, and it will be image 2. And now we go to CSS. Here we call the image under its ID, because we want that it will be a thumbnail again. So I just make a copy paste of this 3 properties here, paste it here for the image, and we save everything and we check how it will be, and after that we come back. Now it is our image, and again we set the padding for that also. So I make a copy paste of that, of the padding of the first thumbnail, save all, refresh the page. Now we have 2 thumbnails, but this one, you see that if I go over the second one, the pointer will be a hand, because now it is a link. But the first one, we don't have this effect. So now I set a margin left from this thumbnail also, so that we can have a little bit distance here. Margin left, and margin left will be, for example, 350 pixel. So we don't want to design, it is just good. Now there is a 350 pixel distance between the thumbnails, and as I said, now it is a link. We can also set a hover for that, it will be also nice. So we go back and we call the image and we say hover. After that, when we want to hover the image, we want to have a box shadow, for example, and the box shadow will be 0 pixel, 0 pixel, because it's a small thumbnail, 2 pixel and 1 pixel. About the box shadow, we have talked in the last videos, light gray, for example, and or light blue, light gray. We had light gray, and this time light blue, and I save it. We go back, we refresh the page, and this time you see that if I hover the thumbnail, we get the box shadow. Now if I click on this thumbnail, you see that a new window will be opened, and here we can see the original size of that thumbnail. So if you want to save some space in your website, you can use this method. So small thumbnails in your website, and you set link for that, and if someone click on it, he can see the original size of the image. So it is about the thumbnails and how you can set so nice thumbnails. Now we add another image to our document, and this time we use something else. So for example, before adding that to our website, suppose that we want to have a text here also, a text under this image also. Good. Now we go to the HTML, and we open a div or div tag. This div, as I said, some guy says div, some other says div, but I would personally say div. This div tag will be the container of our image and of the text. So it will be the main container, ID will be main here, and in this divs we select, we add first our image, so image again, and src of the image, it will be images this time image 3. I select the images one by one, and for this image we can here set directly the width of that. We say, for example, 300 pixel. It will be the image, and we want to add a text at the end of this image. So we open another div. As you see, all of the components are in the main div, and I press enter. This div will get another ID also, and it will, for example, be txt. Now it is for our text, and here we add our text in a p tag. P is for paragraph, for text, and we type here, for example, I have made this photo. For example, we want to add this text at the end of our image. So we go back to CSS. We have to set some CSS properties for all of these things here. So one more time, we open a main div. It will be the main container for our image and for the text. And in this container, first we select our image, and after that we add a text at the end of the image. Now we go back. It is the main container and it is the text container. We go back first the main container. So the width of the main container must be also exactly the width of the image that we have set here. Here we said the width is 300 pixel, so the main must have also this width. And we select a background for that. We say it will be white, for example. And after that, I think it will be better if we set a box shadow for the main container. Also the box shadow, it is up to you what you select here. In this case, I would select 0 pixel, 0 pixel, 5 pixel, 2 pixel, and again light gray, for example. And here we select a margin. We type a margin button for the main div, because we want to have a little bit space between the text and the image. We say, for example, 20 pixels. So it will be the setting of the main container. A width, a background, a box shadow. You can set box shadow. You can set it. You can also forget it. And margin button, as I said, to specify the distance between the image and the text. And now we we have to do something for the text also. So we call it text. And the thing that we have to do is we want to have the text exactly in the middle, of the main container and under the footer. So text align, we set text align for that. It must be center. And I think it will be also better if we have a padding for the text also. For example, 10 pixel from top and down, and 20 pixel from left and from the right side. So we save everything here. We go back and we check what will be happen. Let's set the margin from the right side so that we can have the image also in the middle of our website. So we set margin right, for example, 25, 30, 40%. For example, we save it, we go back. Margin right, we don't need margin right. We have to set margin left. Sorry, I had made a mistake because we want to have a distance from the left side. And because of this, it is not happen. So margin left, 20 pixel. And if I save it, we go back this time. You see that it is a little bit, we can here set a higher margin for that, 400 pixel, and maybe a little bit more so that we can have the image here at the middle of the page. 450. Save it. So it needs a little bit more, or I can do, for example, 35% or 40% of the website. So good. Now we have the image, so approximately in the middle of the website. You see that I have made this photo, for example, and so you can add a text at the end of your image. If you want to have any explanation for the images, for the photos that you make, for example, it will be also nice with the use of this text at the end of the image, so you can remember when and where you have made this photo. Good. The next thing that we can have about the images is it is also interesting. We want to set filter for the images. So what is filter? For example, if you upload a photo as a story in your Instagram, for example, you can set some filters for that. And now we want to learn it how it works and what the concept is behind that. Good. For that, I add again some images here. Here, so image, and the ID of this image, the last ID was D, and here the ID will be E, and after that RC images / and this time we use image 3, for example. We have already used it, all right? Yes, we have already used it, so we use another image 4, for example. So I just make a copy paste of that, and after that I select the IDs, and one more time, 1 2 3 4 5, for example 5. ID is E. For the second one, ID will be F, and A B C D E F G, here H, and here I. They are the IDs of the images. And now we go to CSS and we use the filter property of CSS for our images. So the first one is IDE, so we call it. We set a width for our images, and in this case I would say 80%, for example, and after that we type filter. Here with the use of filter property we can set different filters for our images. For example, you see that when we type filter, it shows us what kind of choices we have. For the first one, we say blur, for example, and for the blur filter, you have to select a value. In this case, I would say 5, and it must be in pixel, for example. And we save everything here. We go back and we check what will be happen. So first, this is the first one, has a width. The other one does not have any width. So I set widths for all of them first. Widths will be again 80%. So I set 80% because I want to have all the photos, all the images in one line near each other. So so that we can see the effects of the filter very better. G widths will be also 80%, and H widths again 80%, and I widths again 80%. So first widths, we save it, we go back, we refresh the page, and you see that right now we have the all the images near each other. And the first one has a filter of blur, as we set it here. Filter is blur, and we have selected 5 pixels for that, and you see that the image is blur. So for the second one, we select another filter, and we see the difference. So for example, for the second one, we select brightness. For the brightness, you have to select, you have to use a value in percent format. So I would say 200%, for example. We save it, and we go back. You see that this is the filter, and this is the brightness filter for this image. And for the third one, we select another filter. The filter will be, for example, contrast. And for contrast, you have to again select a value in percent format. So filter contrast 150%. Save it, we go back. Now you see that it is a little bit different, and it has a contrast here. And for the fourth one, again filter, and this time we select, for example, sepia, and for that you have to select only a value without percent or without pixel. I select 7, for example, for that. We go back. Now you see that it is the sepia filter. And for the last one, we select filter again, and this time we say saturate, for example. And here you also have to set a number without any pixel or percent. We save it, we go back, we refresh. You see that it is the effect. So one more time, the use of filter is simple. You just type filter here. This is the property, and the value can be either blur, brightness, contrast, sepia, or saturated, and so on. Good. Now there is another property, and this property is opacity. So with the use of opacity, we can select the transparency of an image. Again, another image, and this image will have the ID of IJ, for example, and RC images, for example, image 1 more time, and we go to CSS J. First, we set a width for that. Width, for example, 300 pixel, and height also 300 pixel, exactly like the first one. And here opacity. So opacity can have a value between 0 and 1. If you select 0, you cannot see the image, and the 1 value is the most transparent value for the image. For example, we select 30.3 and we check what will happen here for our image. You see that the image is now is not totally transparent. If we change it to, for example, to 0.9, we save it, we go back, the transparency is more, and 0.1, for example, the transparency, you see that is not so clear. And it is opacity, as I said, for, between 0 and 1. Okay guys, that's it for this video. So with the use of these properties, CSS properties, you can make your images in your website so nice, and you can set these very nice and beautiful effects for your images. I hope that you like it, and thanks for watching.